Today we'll be replacing an outdoor board on a Daikin condenser. This board is shared also with Amana and Goodman products. So let's see what we got today. Looking at the low voltage connectors, we have two options. We can use 1, 2 RNC and wire this board in communicating, or we can use RCW1, Y1, Y2 and wire it in legacy mode. If we choose to go ahead with the legacy wiring, we're going to have to remove the two little red prongs in order for the bigger green plug to actually fit on the board. Very important, when you plug in the new bigger plug, make sure you do not use terminals 1 and 2 because that will throw things off for you. The next two steps are probably the most important steps when installing this board. Step number 1. If you look right next to your low voltage connections, on the top right there's a black plug that looks like an Ethernet plug. Right underneath it there's a terminal called SW5 and there's two dip switches, number 1 and number 2. Straight out of the factory, both of them will be pointing towards the left, which is the on position. What you're going to have to do in the field, turn both dip switch 1 and dip switch 2 to the right. In other words, both of them need to be in the off position. Please do this whether you're connecting your low voltage as communicating or as in legacy. Here you can see the dip switches, how they come out of the factory. And here you can see how the dip switches will look after we've flipped them to the off position. There is a little yellow membrane over the dip switches. You can remove that if you want, or you can just use your thermostat screwdriver and push the two little dip switches to the right. Flipping those dip switches will complete step number 1 that we just talked about. Step number 2 is very important and actually crucial if you're going to be using this board in a communicating system. The reason behind that is that if you wire this board brand new out of the box on a communicating system and don't do this step, you will get a code saying that the board does not have its software on it. So we're going to have to install the software on this board. This is only in communicating applications. If you're using it in a legacy, you do not need this step. So if you look same way as we looked in a little bit earlier on the top where we have all your connections, you will have again that Ethernet port. Underneath it you can have the terminal SW5 that we just switched to the off position. Keep going downwards, you're going to see a white elongated plastic plug that has the name E12 on it. That's where you will plug in a memory chip in order to update the software or actually install the software on this board. Again, if you do not do this step on a communicating system, when you fire everything up, this board will not work. I do promise you that.